For all of you watching, this is Neal Linkon. He is the Director of Marketing Operations at Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, and not to mention a Healthcare Internet Hall of Fame member. Most of you, a lot of you who are watching, know Neal, enjoy working with Neal, have known him for a while. Some of you maybe not so long, but Neal is kind of one of those people who you just enjoy running into at conferences like HCIC, the Healthcare Internet Conference. And Neal and I were just talking today. I wanted to take a couple minutes and actually just ask him a couple questions about HCIC. And it's really simple. We just got 3 questions here. But Neal, you have kind of an interesting perspective. This is kind of the farewell tour, isn't it? You have some pretty cool career changes going on coming up. What's going on in the next couple months?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm retiring pretty much the end of this month. October 2nd will be my last full-time day here at Children's. I will hang around as a contract employee for a little while to help wrap up a big project, but otherwise, yeah, moving on to the next chapter of my life and making one last stop at HCIC because it just wouldn't seem right to do otherwise.
Well, I know we appreciate that, and congrats, and best wishes of what's coming ahead. And I know any relaxation you're going to get to have is well deserved, genuinely. So we appreciate you even taking a couple of minutes today. I'm curious, when you look back, my first question for you is what's your favorite memory from HCIC? What will be the thing that you remember most?
You know, I have to go back to the very first one, which was probably 17 or 18 years ago, long time. I was new to the healthcare field, and the thing that struck me was the palpable relief to find out that I wasn't the only one going through what I was going through at that time. That it seemed like there was a room full of people who were trying to achieve the same goals and trying to overcome the same challenges and obstacles as I was. And that was very relieving. The other thing about healthcare and about this conference that I learned right away is that it's not like other industries or other conferences, and that everybody there is so eager and willing to share. There's people there that are doing things in ways that I haven't done before, ways I haven't considered before. And those things are not considered competitive advantages like they might be in other industries. And so I was struck, number one, by why it's called the largest support group on earth, and how helpful and supportive everybody was. And it continues to be that way today. I mean, it's gotten a lot bigger, but I still find it that way. People that I met at that very first conference, I continue to remain friends with today. Folks are happy to have you reach out to them in the week after the conference, the month, or years after the conference, and they're always willing to help and share. And it just, I'll never forget that first experience, realizing, wow, there's a whole community of people out here going through exactly what I'm going through.
Very, very true. I'm glad I find that interesting that a lot of us have had the same type of reaction. That's one reason why we keep coming back. And for sure, I'm glad that those are kind of some of the things that have stuck out to you. My second question, what impact has HCIC had in your career? Specifically as you want to get, how has it impacted your ability to succeed and have the career that you've had?
It's been indispensable. I mean, in a lot of different levels. On a very practical level, I come back from HCIC every year with a long list of things that I hadn't seen before, hadn't thought about before, haven't tried before, and people to whom I can reach out to learn more and get more background. As you know, in the healthcare field, I think in a lot of fields, the ability to say, well, this has been tried successfully here helps a lot to get that moved along the way. The relationships, as I mentioned, that you build there are people you can reach out to, whatever the question you might have going forward. And again, there are people that I met in that very first year that I've been reaching out to just like the last year or two to get their input on how their team's organized or other things that are important. And as I think about a lot of the major vendors I'm doing business with these days, I met them at HCIC. So, I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them. And so I look at the people in my network that I rely upon, the ideas and innovations that I come back with, and even the vendors that support me going forward in my team, all at HCIC. The other thing I get out of a conference like that, though, is it's like recharging the batteries. I get away from the day-to-day, and a lot of the things I write down to take back aren't even things that came up in a session. It's just something that I thought about that I didn't have time to think about when you're running from meeting to meeting and task to task.
For sure, man. You just kind of nailed that. One of the things that I always feel that the same way. The whole refreshing your batteries thing. I appreciate that. I feel like it's something that we don't get enough credit for. That it's not talked about enough. That we the need for that, and that's one reason why a lot of folks will say the same thing about why they keep coming back. So, great to hear that. Final question. So I'm thinking more about those who are kind of younger or newer to the field of healthcare marketing, communications, IT, digital, anything. So why do you think attending conferences like HCIC, why is it important for younger professionals in our field?
Well, listen, professional development is important at any level of your career. And the younger you are, I think the more important it is. The breadth and scope of HCIC allows you to get out of your comfort zone and attend a session or two that maybe isn't exactly in what you're currently doing today, but helps broaden your horizons in ways that'll be useful to you and your organization or organizations in the years to come. As HCIC has gotten bigger, and it gets bigger every year, I fear that some young attendees might be somewhat intimidated by the size of the crowd. And I would encourage them not to, right? Don't sit with your colleagues at lunch or breakfast. Seek out others, sit at a table with people you don't know. You'll be amazed at the relationships that you make and how helpful those are going forward, whether it's to answer a simple question on the best way to approach something or even career advice going forward. So there's just so much opportunity there. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that it's a heck of a lot of fun, right? It's a great opportunity to get out of the office, have a good time, and come back with a good long list, not just of new ideas and new ways to approach things, but to be able to broaden your horizons and your network, both of which will help you in your career from then until you get to where I'm at, getting ready to walk out the door.
What a good spot to be in. And that's one reason it really is why we wanted to just share, and reconnect with you and ask you these questions, because you're in this unique perspective, being able to look back and think about these things kind of cumulatively over the years and how they really have contributed to the career that you've had. And again, it has been a notable and remarkable career, the things that you've been able to do. I enjoyed presenting with you at last year's HCIC when we got to share about social media metrics with Stephen Strong at Northwestern Medicine. And it was a great session. And I feel like even just that variety, it makes a big impact too. And, the one final thing I'll share is just getting a little bit of a sneak peek behind the curtain with the crew from Greystone has been really fun to see how much work goes into it and how they do planning and how they come up with the programming and the topics and guests and things. So a lot of fun. It's a place that I have always said I feel like I have found my tribe there. So
Well put.
Yeah.
And it's an extremely well-run and organized conference. I mean, I've gone to a lot of conferences over the years, and most of them are pretty well run. Some less so. This one is just smooth. I mean, they've got it down, and just a great experience every time.
Great. Well, Neal, thanks so much for taking a few minutes with me today, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Look forward to it as well, Jared. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.